Hi everyone, Aiden here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install these Konig XD16 Pro assisted tensioning tire chains on our 2018 Ford F-150 with tire size 275 60R20. Be sure to plug that tire information on yours into our fit guide and find the right pair of chains for you. Although this set of chains is meant to fit a wide range of tire sizes, you want to make sure that it's going to work for you. And if it doesn't, our website will give you the right one for you. You can still watch this install video and see how the chains go on because all the different sizes are going to be pretty much the same. You just want to make sure it fits. Let's check it out. Now this is going to be a diamond pattern square link chain. And what the pattern refers to is how it's arranged on the tire. You can see that diamond shape right here in particular. And really you can compare this to a ladder pattern style. Ladder pattern is where the links go in parallel lines across the tire and gives you better traction on starts and stops, although it sacrifices on ride quality, feeling a bit bumpier. This gives you more constant contact with the ground with a smoother ride quality and better traction on turns. The square shape is going to refer to the individual links, where we can see hard, defined edges on the sides of the link, that kind of square shape. That's going to give us a lot more bite into things like ice. Those hard edges are great at breaking it up and giving you additional traction in those icy scenarios, and this can be good for pretty deep snow too. You can compare this to maybe something like a twisted link or even a cable chain, where those are going to be the more mild versions of this, and the more aggressive version would be something like a V-bar chain. With all that being said, I think this is a really good in the middle sort of chain because it's going to be kind of a hybrid between both not being super aggressive, good for on-road use, but enough to break up some ice if need be. And it's not a crazy large link. So if you do have extra components back here, like a lift kit or other suspension components, there's a little more room for it because you aren't using super large links if you don't need them. And this is an assisted tensioning chain. And all that means is that the tension device is built into the chain. And it's not a full self-tensioning, it just is assisting it. So you have to put some input in to get it tight. Now, a lot of manual chains, we always recommend having the rubber tensioners sold separately just to draw that extra slack out. And this is a great option because you don't have to worry about getting any separate pieces. It's built right in, so you don't have to worry about forgetting it or picking it up. Now, this one works by pulling this arm through a ratcheting mechanism, feeding across your tire, and pulling this slack out right here with this elastic rubber piece here, applying that tension. The ratcheting mechanism down here makes sure it doesn't back off of itself anymore, and it keeps a really snug fit on the tire. Personally, I like this style quite a bit because it's easy to set up. And as far as construction goes, this is going to be a really high quality material. A manganese nickel alloy steel, making this much more resistant to rust and corrosion over time, and a more durable option than low carbon steel. So if you want these chains to last for multiple seasons, these definitely will. On the outside edges where your hands are going to be touching, there is a vinyl coating over there to help keep things a little bit less cold to the touch when we're hooking up. It will provide some protection over your wheel if you do maybe drift into something or have some snow pushing the chain in. It'll protect your wheel. One downside of that though is that this main section of the assisted tensioning arm has no coating at all, and pretty much no matter what, you're going to be having this cross in front of the wheel. So if you're worried about wheel damage, that's maybe one area to look out for, and maybe find a chain where that does have some coating. And finally, this does come with a carrying case with plenty of room for both the driver and passenger side, and your instructions and any other pieces you may need to get it set up. I like when these include a nice carrying case. Many chains, especially for trucks, come in a pretty poor quality canvas woven type bag, very plasticky and tend to rip. This definitely feels better quality. It'll zip up for easy storage and keep it all in one place until you're ready to use them. It's still not the most durable thing in the world because it is still a fabric type material, but if you find it ripping over time, you can always just get a plastic tote and keep them in there. And these are one of the easiest chains to install for your F-150. They're nice because you don't have to get on the ground behind the tire to make any connections. You can just feed it behind and make your connections mostly at the top of the tire. So it's a lot less time on the ground much easier than more of the manual style chains. So if you are out in inclement weather and you don't want to be rolling around in the snow, this will keep you out of it and keep that hookup time quicker. But let's walk you through that process and show you how it's done right now. To start off the installation, you want to lay your chains out and make sure that nothing's tangled up. Then we can pay attention to how they're oriented, making sure that we set them up properly. There's going to be a gap in the middle between these two halves of the chain. That's where the base of our tire will sit. And on the back side, there's going to be a coated cable. That's the thing that sits behind our tire. And attached to that cable are going to be some cross links. Those cross links will have one smooth side and one more hooked side. We want that hooked side facing down so that when we make our attachment up on top of the tire, that the smooth side is touching the tire. Less risk of causing damage to it. Now once you've identified all that, you can feed this behind the tire and around to the other side. I personally like to feed this half behind first because this bit with the assisted tensioning arm is going to be a bit longer and easier to get caught up and tangled behind things. So take the half that we're going to feed back and start running it to the other side. We'll see it pop out over there. And you can take some time to pull everything to the front, making sure that nothing got tangled along the way. This side by me is pretty easy because we didn't really do anything with it. This side over here is pretty okay too. We've got our mechanism that'll be at the bottom. Those are the two halves. And then everything else is laid out flat and untangled. Our first connection is with our coated cable. On the side closest to you, there's going to be a series of studs. And on the side by me, there's going to be a catch plate. Those two will just join together, but we make this connection up inside the wheel well. So grab onto that cable, put it up inside the wheel well, and I'm going to try to pull it to the front as best I can to show you. Those two ends will join together and it'll drop behind the tire. But before we do that, keep your hands on the chain and grab our red hook and red link. Join those together so the chain doesn't completely fall down, and take some time now to center things up as best you can. This cross section of chain is going to be centered with our tire running front to back, so just take some time to get everything in position as best you can. One small note, you might find that things are a bit loose with your chains. If you need to make some tightening adjustments after everything's set up, you can always tighten this hook to an inner link. And if you've got excess hanging down, you can just hook it to this plastic keeper right here. But I always start with that red link because it's easier to see, and most of the time this works out just fine. The final step of attaching the chain is at the bottom here with our assisted tensioning arm and this ratcheting clip here. Feed the arm through that clip, pull it tight, you'll hear it kind of clicking in, and just by hand, that's feeling about good. Once you've got this part pulled as tight as you can feed the rest of that assisted tensioning arm through these red hooks. Now, you might need one, you might need none, you might need both. It's really just going to depend on your tire and how the chain is fitting on your tire. That's why I recommend maybe doing this in your driveway once or twice before you're in the bad weather, so you know what to do if you get caught in it. But right here for our tire today, this is looking perfect. And like I mentioned before, if we need to get more tension out of it, we can always return to the top and tighten that up in the beginning, but this is looking good. Now at this point, install the chains on the other side of the vehicle, drive forward a few times, and come out and check on them. This isn't a full self-tensioning chain, so after driving and things settling in, it might be a little bit looser than when you last left it. At that point, if you need to make further tightening adjustments, you can, whether that's just pulling on the arm or going back to that top link, you can do that, and then you're ready to hit the road. And that'll do it for our look at an installation of the XD16 assisted tensioning tire chains on our 2018 Ford F-150. Thanks for watching.